So, welcome to No Shame from quarantine. Robin is still not with me. The guard won't let him across the M50. So, yeah. So it's me shooting out quarantine. Today I'm going to get a guy on, right? That is probably the strongest mind that I've ever met in my life. I'm here and I'm shooting from on Easter Sunday. Something I wanted to say about Easter Sunday. When Easter comes around, I always get that little bit emotional. In the morning, I can't help but think of the men that would have been hugging their sons and their daughters, and the women that would have been hugging their sons and their daughters and their husbands, and leaving that house with their rifle to head towards the GPO. To know that they probably never would have walked back through the door of their house, and that they were doing it for the future. I put a post up yesterday about saying that it's Padraig Pearse talking about how we do it for our children. A lot of rebels and a lot of visionaries will always talk about the children of the future, and at the moment we are the children of that future. I think it's very important that in this time of history that we stand up and we make sure that our words are counted, because it's a very strange time for us all. We just came out of a historic election, and we are heading into another 5 years of who knows what, I know that the electorate didn't ask for what is the two parties that are trying to get together. I know that they didn't ask for that, so it's not a good time on that foot, but it is a good time on the foot that people are motivated and energised for Ireland to move forward in a great way, in a correct way, in a way where many people benefit from the resources in the country, and that the homelessness crisis that haven't disappeared. I know that people have been told to get into your houses, go back to your houses. Something I've noticed over the last few weeks is, imagine being told that I'm not having a house. We know that we were in a massive housing crisis before of all of this. I'm looking at the volunteers in inner city health and homeless, Anthony Flynn and all of his volunteers working, and it's just amazing that some of the people, what they're putting together at this time to help people. I don't think that rebel spirit ever left Ireland or left the land. I think it's still there, and we're using it in so many different ways. If you get a little chance over this next little while, try and observe the goodness. I know I said this last week as well, but there's some massive goodness there, and it's up for us to dig into it. We're going to talk about this with Damian when he comes on. But the idea of being in the moment, if you're talking about the past, you're gonna get depressed. If you're thinking about the past, you're gonna be depressed if you're kind of moping in it. If you're thinking too far into the future, you're going to be anxious. So it's going to kind of create that anxiety in your body, and we don't know what's going to happen. But right now, what we can do is we can control the controllables. Stay alert, be awoke, as they say. You don't have to just believe what you're being told. Sometimes I like to do a bit of research myself, and I think if you do the research yourself, you can calm that anxiety. Now, don't look at it too much either. I'm going to talk about Damian about being in the moment. So that time in the moment, you can find the moment. Cold water is a great way of doing it. Pull-ups, sit-ups, dips, anything that challenges you, anything that you're not thinking about anything else, you're thinking about that moment there. It can take 10 minutes to do that and get yourself back into the moment. There's a great video on YouTube. Noel Breed. So Noel Breedwell, it's amazing. Noel has been in with us. Obviously, he's trained at Wim Hof. He does the Wim Hof method and stuff like that. But he has a 7-minute breathing video online, and it's incredible. If you're anxious, if you're finding yourself panicking in any situations over the next little while, I advise you to sit down and do that breathing thing. I use it a lot. I use it all of the time, and it works, which is the great thing. So I'm going to get onto Auld Stock. All right. So let me try this. Damian has rowed across the Atlantic Ocean, has ran the Das Ebals, which is like a marathon across the desert. Absolutely incredible dude. I don't know anybody that's more mentally tough than Damian, or anyone that seeks it deep down inside him. He wants to suffer. So let me try to get him on here. It's ringing at the moment. Hey, mate, what's up? I was only saying before we came on the camera there, if there was a man that I had to pick to go to war with mentally, But on my side, it would be you.
That is a very nice compliment. Thank you very much. That's saying something, because I know you've come across some incredibly hardened warriors in your time, so I appreciate it.
No, man, you are beyond hardened. I've seen the challenges that you've just been running, and I think they are amazing. I've been watching them. I know I should be taking part in them, but I've been watching them the last little while. The burpees one, I'm sorry, mate. Burpee, it was scared the life out of me when you said burpees.
Really, I thought that would be bread and butter to you from all the sprawling that you guys do in your training and all that sort of stuff. But for somebody like me who's 6'5" and I suppose about 19 stone, burpees are an absolute nightmare. But yeah, listen, that's why I propose the challenge to people, and myself, of course.
The burpees, to me, when you mentioned it, was like an alcohol you had before that didn't go well, and when someone mentions it, you're like, oh, that's what burpees is to me.
A repulse from your teenage years, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, 10 burpees for being smart. That's what you would get. But it seems like it's really going well, and you're connecting with people, which is amazing, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it was actually somebody in my rugby club here in Galway asked me to had I any ideas, something that they could put out in their newsletter to kind of get people, I suppose, just challenged in some way, or mentally and physically kind of pushed a little bit during this time. So this is what I came up with, and then obviously I just threw it up on my own social media at the same time, and loads of people picked up on it. And yeah, it's been great. Like I'm very happy to finish it. I must say, believe it or not, I was thinking of doing 30 days at the start, but I'm very glad I capped it at 2 weeks. 30 days, and yeah, no, I'm just not, like I said, personally, I'm not built for burpees. I'm not very good at them, but yeah, happy that it's done, and it's great to see such a pickup from it, and people, I suppose, spreading it and getting something from it. I got some, it's really nice. Sometimes you get some nice messages through people you didn't know were doing it, but they were doing it silently, in terms of social media, and I suppose the effect it had on them, and just reading about that, and that it gave them something during this time, which is great.
So just for people that wouldn't know, what Damian did, he did, so you do a minute of burpees, and they did 14 days, up to 14 minutes of burpees. Man, I think 30 days you would have had some bodies on your hands.
Yeah, no, I had to reel myself in there a little bit, because I knew that I was putting this out to a rugby club, and fair enough, like we have, there's some fit guys in there, but it was also going out. I was trying to bring in and make as inclusive as possible. So there was 2 types of burpees, a scaled version for older people or whatever. And I was just thinking, it was madness to ask anyone who's had a year's on the clock to be doing 30 minutes of burpees. It's all well and good for the youth academy, those guys fly off the ground, but some of us don't. So yeah, I just reeled myself in, and there was a nice little challenge in it, because every day people had to try and surpass the number they'd completed the day before. So for example, on day 2, although people were burpeeing for 2 minutes, they still had to beat the target that they set in 1 minute. So that kind of gave a little bit of a mental challenge as well. There was a bit of pressure, and the longer the challenge went on, when you were deep into the later days, there's an anxiousness around that challenge, and a mental anxiousness, and that just shows you that it is a real challenge, and and when it is real, that you're going to get something real back from it.
It does reveal that voice, doesn't it? Even when I was reading through that one, the cold water one as well, you did. So the voice that goes on in your head. I remember you talking about that before. I think he's probably the one that you're trying to talk to most, isn't it? the voice that's
I think it's a very healthy relationship, right, to build up and get to know, because that voice is the one that stops you doing a lot of stuff that is going to have a very positive impact on you, So the more you talk to it, the more you put yourself in position to have a conversation or a relationship with that voice, the more you're going to get to know it. And there's the more, the less unknown there is and the less fear. And, you see it for what it is. It's just a little hurdle or a big hurdle or a massive hurdle to get over, to kind of get some quality, real rewards.
It's the cold water one, as I was saying, is a total different challenge to the one that you were doing. But mentally, it hits you in a faster way, do you think?
Yeah, there's never an easy day. So the cold water one we do, this is the second year I put it out there, and basically it's February, so it's every day in February, and you start with a minute on the 1st of February, and this year we finished with 29 minutes in the water, be that a lake, a river, or the sea. So 29 minutes in the freezing, frigid waters, be the Atlantic or a river or a lake in Ireland in February is very, very tough. Now, I will say that your body does adapt over time, but it's never easy. It's always hard, and there's always that apprehension around getting into the cold and the initial shock you're going to feel, and that fight or flight, and your mind's going to go out of control because your breath's out of control, and it's just learning to control that, and then once you've kind of been in there for a while, it does become a little bit easier. Now, it's never, like I said, it's never easy, but it's it's dealing with that anxiousness around the challenge every day. I think that's where a lot of the rewards come from.
Oh yeah, someone said something to me during the week, and I was thinking of you when they said it. They were saying about in a moment like this, everybody's when they think of the future or they think of the past, especially in a time like this, what's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen. That's when the anxiety flies around your body. So it's important to find them moments where, say, if you're doing pull-ups, you're not thinking about the fourth set, the fifth rep on the fourth set. You're thinking about that next set, or that next rep, that one rep at a time. That's a really good tool to be able to kind of pull you back into the moment, and it kind of calms your body from that anxiety and stuff like that. Do you find that works?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can only control the present moment, right? So the minute you start living in the past, you become depressed. The minute you start living in the future, you become anxious. So it's just learning to be aware. So first thing before control, you have to have awareness. It's learning to be aware of what your mind is saying to you, and then bringing yourself back into the present moment with what you can control in that moment. So like the example you used, if in a moment, well, you can control your grip, you can control your mind muscle connection, you can control your breathing, so using a concentration like that to bring yourself back to that moment and something that's within your control is really, really powerful thing to do. And when you learn that, say, when you learn to do it with a chin up, that is very translatable into all different parts of life. So the minute your mind goes into a anxious state about the future and what's going to happen, it's just about using the exact same tools you use in the chin up to bring yourself back to that present moment. And the more time you can spend in that present moment, the more content and peace you're going to find in life.
It's you find like kind of comfort in that bitterness, isn't it, in a way? To be honest, I don't get to lift weights as much anymore because I had a back surgery and I just stopped lifting weights. But over this last little while, I've got to kind of start with the little dumbbells and move them up again. And you know what? I found that love in it again. That kind of like when you're in the middle of dips and you're on your 7th rep or something like that, and there's no hiding from dips. You know what I mean? No matter what size you are.
No. No, absolutely, yeah. I suppose we all find different ways to get into those present moments. Like some people will go hard into yoga and become, go on a lifelong journey with that. And some people will go hard into meditation. For me, actually, what I've found personally is weight training is my avenue into those present moments, and controlling my mind under the stress, controlling my movement, controlling my position under all those stresses that the weight brings is hugely fulfilling. Not fulfilling, but it's like it brings me back to those present moments and it's worked really well for me, and it's taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me a lot about my mind, and it's something, and it's the thing I always go to is it's kind of my default, go back to that and just get in the gym, just trying to get that, mind muscle connection and connect with my body, connect with my mind. And, if the session is really hard, you connect with your spirit.
Yes. That's the one I'm always chasing.
Yeah.
I like the body part, but when I'm in the midst of it, I'm looking for the spirit I am, and his as well.
Well, that's your warrior.
Yeah.
That's you, and that's your warrior side, and connecting with that, and seeing what your character is made of under those stresses. When to take the hard road when the easy road is the one that most people take.
Yeah.
That's what the warrior does, and he trains his values, and he puts himself in position physically and mentally under extreme duress, and then he sees what he's made of, and he builds that over time, and he becomes a deeper version of himself, and his self-confidence rises, and his self-belief and his self-worth, and eventually self-mastery.
He's in there. He's in everybody as well, I believe. The
Absolutely.
The trip that you had coming. So I don't know if it's still going forward. I don't know if you want to announce it's going forward or not. But I was saying here, thinking to myself, yeah, you're not the only man. There's two people that I know that were planning to tackle Everest. Right now, so the other one is a lad I know that doesn't belong on Everest at all, Damian. Right, but he was part of this. He's part of this project that he's had to get in a spot on. Right, but I'm like, oh, but Jesus, that lad on Everest is going to be fun. So if he's passing by, I just put the head down, right? If you end up doing meeting him.
Okay.
So there's two people that, when this came in, these are probably the only people that we're all getting like the stags cancelled. Obviously, all the normal things that you get cancelled, the pleasurable things. But like you've been training hard for the 7 summits. I think many of the summits had you got in now so far in the training for the Everest.
5 done, and Everest is going to be number 6. And I've been training for Everest for about, I suppose, 6 months now at this stage. 6 months specifically for Everest, but the whole project's been about 2 years now going. And this was, this was the, I suppose, the elephant in the room. This is the one that was the shadow that was been cast over all the other mountains, for want of a better kind of way to describe it, because of the physical enormity and the enormity of the challenge. And listen, but it was it's been postponed. It's going to happen in 2021. All things going back to normal, of course.
I seen in one of your climbs, I can't remember which mountain it was, but I'm not a fan of heights myself now, to be honest. So even looking at your pictures, I'm a little bit like, oh, But that you were doing going across a bridge. It's a rope bridge. What mountain was that? I got to put the picture up here as well.
Yeah, that's a mountain called Karsten's Pyramid. It's actually in Indonesia, but it's on the most easterly island of Indonesia, on the island of Papua. So it's beside Papua New Guinea. It was proper remote, really, really remote. It just happens to be the highest mountain in the continent of Oceania, and that bridge is basically 3 wires. So you have 1 for your foot and then 2 for each hand, and you kind of shimmy along it. So I was really looking forward to that part, because it's kind of that's the iconic part, the picture that you always see associated with that mountain. So it wasn't as bad as it looked, I must say. There was a couple other traverses that were smaller and that were much more sketchy than that one, because that one was it was a large traverse they'd put in this system, and you were well harnessed in and bolted in. But there was a couple of traverses before that where they were only about 2 meters, 2.5 meters, but it was proper sketchy getting across them. One of the lads who we were with tripped, and he completely freaked out. When we go back to what we talked about there a bit earlier about those panic moments that happen, and he just couldn't get any composure in that moment, and he was freaking out. And I literally had to talk him through, because our guide was a no nonsense local, and he'd done this climb like 200 times, and he was just shouting at him, like, and your man just you could continue to shout at him. You were just making the situation worse. So I just tried to talk him through, like, go down to the finest detail of what he should try and do, just to give him something he could get his mind back to control. And eventually we got him. He was kind of hanging on with one hand onto the rope and then trying to get a foothold in the rock. But we got him across eventually, and he calmed down a bit. But yeah, he was shook in that moment. So that was a pretty cool mountain, actually. But it wasn't a very technical mountain for the 7 summits. There's it was all abseiling coming down, and it was all Jumar going up. Jumar is the thing you attach to the rope and you pull yourself up. So it's quite technical for the 7 summits, but not for what is possible in climbing. But it was fun. It was only 24 hours on the mountain, so a lot less than I spent nearly 3 weeks on a mountain in Argentina and over 2 weeks on a mountain in Alaska. So 24 hours on a mountain was handy.
A little quickie.
Yeah.
A little quickie on the mountain. What, Damon?
Yeah.
A quickie climb. There was a time I was watching, and you were saying, like, I won't say you were close to breaking, but I could tell by the way you were talking to the camera that you were like, listen, I'm at the bone here. I don't know whether you had got sick the day before. Had you got altitude sickness?
Yeah, I think that was in Alaska.
You were waiting to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a really tough day on the summit attempt of Denali, which is the highest mountain. Yeah, the highest mountain in North America. So up until basically, normally with a summit attempt, you kind of start with 1,000 meters of vertical climb below the summit. But with Denali, we kind of got a weather window. So over 2 days, we did 2,000 vertical meters from Camp 3 to Camp 4, and then Camp 4 to the summit over 2 days. So basically, I just kind of overexerted on the first day. So getting to Camp 4, the thing was with Denali, it's a hard slog of a day, right? So it's like 7, 8, 9 hours. And then when you get to camp, you have to make camp. So you have to build a platform for your tent, set up the tents. There's nobody who does that for you on Denali. There's no porters, or, the guides don't do it. It's all up to you. And you have to carry all your own food as well. So you have a heavy backpack. So basically, me being me a little bit, when I got into camp, there was a couple of girls, I was in the tent with them. So I kind of probably, in hindsight, I overworked, took some of their workload on and just took it on myself to do that. But I didn't rehydrate well enough, and I didn't eat enough food that evening. And then when I woke up the morning of our summit attempt, you can just tell when you're drained. I suppose when you've spent, your life, I suppose, been connecting with your body, and it's always been your kind of what you use in life to perform. So I just knew I was drained, and then like the first hour into it, I was like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble here today. This is going to be a long day. I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't replaced the energy that needed for a summit attempt. And imagine then after that, you're in this hyperventilating state for hours. Like, so your body is working overtime on no energy, like so, and it's working to survive against cold, and it's working to survive against the extreme lack of oxygen. So I just had a horrendous day. I couldn't even really describe how I got through it or what was going on. I just somehow got to the summit, just kind of persevered, but it was absolute pandemonium internally and externally the whole day. I couldn't get any kind of control over my breathing or my thoughts. And yeah, it was just a long long day, but I got there anyway in the end and got down safely, and then I made a bit of a video, but yeah, I was fucked.
I'd never seen you like that, because even the day after, say when you were rowing across the Atlantic and the boat got capsized and stuff like that. Like, there was even a little bit of excitement in your face there, even though you were worried and anxious, but you could see that you were like, yeah, but it was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That one I was like,
I was living my dream a little bit out in the Atlantic, because like there was a sick part of me that wanted all kind of these capsizes to happen and see whales and all that, So I was kind of like, okay, they were like daunting and they were stressful at the time, but like I said, there was that little part of me also felt like kind of happy and not almost like relieved that they'd come to pass. But yeah, it was quite a shocking moment for me on Denali, because like I'd never been in that state where for such a long period that I just couldn't get any control over my thoughts and any kind of clarity in what was happening in the situation, and not having never experienced that, and then struggling to find answers to why it happened for a few days. Yeah, it shook me pretty hard, I must say.
no, it did look like it. It did look like it. Moving on to MMA here, right? Now, I don't think I asked you the last time out. Did I ask you, would you compete the last time?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
No.
so. Did you see James Haskell is at the signing for Bellator?
I did see that, yeah.
I
did see that.
I said if there was ever a man to give him a clout, it'd be Damian Browne.
I must say I have nothing but enormous respect for anyone who does MMA. I follow it loosely. I follow it more for just to see the training those guys do and what they put themselves through, and I'm fascinated by the kind of psychology behind getting into the ring. But I would never do it, man. I don't like getting kicked. I don't like getting punched in the face, so it would never be for me. But yeah, like I said, nothing but respect. But yeah, and I suppose I respect the craft and the mastery involved, and then putting all those different martial arts together. It must be so complicated, like under stress, to be able to, if one of them isn't your background and your expertise, and then you're only learning it and you're getting into a ring, and the combinations, I think it's very brave for a guy who is coming from rugby. Okay, it's physical sport, but like there's not really much connection there between that and MMA. So it was very brave of him to put himself in that position, I must say.
Oh, definitely. And it looks like he's training hard for it as well. Do you know what? I always tip me hat to anybody that'll get in there and do it. Tip me hat to it. You know what I mean? Because it's an experience. If I was watching in and I was I'm a fan as well, but I'd want to do if I hadn't played rugby as a kid, I'd be like, I'd love to give that a go. It's just one of them things, isn't it? I'll leave you on this. I'll leave you on this. A little bit of advice to the king of isolation. So you've spent a boat on your own, and now you have people in our houses now, and the thing that's going to suffer, I think, the most from this, the scariest part to me is that coming out of this, the byproduct is going to be a lot of people's mental health is suffer. So even the life starts on again, some people's life is just not going to start that fast again. What would your advice be to people while they're in here and starting back up?
Try and see it as an opportunity. See it as an opportunity to profit and expand yourself in some way. So, we all have different interests. So maybe there's a little interest in the back of your head that you can read about. Something I've given myself is to try and read a book a week for 8 weeks. So there's a few books there that I bought that were sitting on the shelf, and I was looking at them when I need to read that. So they're all getting read. So see it as an opportunity to expand yourself in some way, learn something new, challenge yourself with something physical, mental, learn about meditation. A lot of people are spending a lot of time alone. So connect with yourself, your body, your mind, be that something as simple as a burpee challenge. You get to connect both those things, or meditation, or, learn how to meditate, or just, approach something that you've been putting off instead of avoiding it now while you have this opportunity.
where can people find to give you a few euro for the trip coming up for next year for 2021? Because we want to support you more with that as well, and because it's amazing, man, it really is.
Yeah, I actually don't have anything. I appreciate that. I really don't have anything set up that way. I really struggle with that, to ask people to, I suppose, part with their hard-earned money for something that is my dream, you know. So
Yeah.
I've now, that being said, I have approached many companies asking for them to part with their hard-earned money, but that's more around, both mutually beneficial in some way for them, you know, like be it for me coming in talking to their staff about whatever resilience or preparation or mindset. So I've never really gone down the route of asking individuals, because I think I don't want people to be kind of funding my experiences, you know. But I really appreciate the offer, Paddy, and thank you very much.
What you do has a massive effect on people. I see it from the outside. The helping people's mental health is a huge thing, Damien, and I'm telling you, you do it. You have put people on pats with them challenges, and them that like they're the ones I love. You know what I mean? The ones that like after is somebody's going to be looking at themselves, and you can see people changing in the videos. You know, like
Yeah,
you can see them change.
yeah.
I'm watching from the outside, and I can. It's like I can have my eye on it because I'm around this so much as well. I see people coming in and they're kind of maybe a little bit torn back with their immune system and they're down, their motivation. But then give it like a flower after a few weeks, you know. And I can see that in your video. So it's I think people would be happy to give you the price of a cup of coffee and you know things like that to put towards it. It doesn't have to be, but I know from my point of view, my opinion would be I would love to donate a little bit towards what you're doing because I love watching it as well.
You're very kind. I'm a huge believer in those challenges. I put them out there because they challenge me, and I'm a huge believer in adversity. And I believe that if you don't approach adversity, it's coming for you in some way in life. So the more I can get people to go towards adversity in some way with these challenges, I think it's just the benefits are just so far-reaching, be it internally or externally. I'm trying to rack my brains. I have this idea about 12 months of challenges. I've only got 2 at the moment with the burpees and the freezebury, but I'm trying to come up with some more real challenges that can connect people with themselves, their body, their mind, their spirit, and just help them develop and grow themselves. So I'm going to keep putting that stuff out there when it comes to me. And there's no doubt that adversity was going to help people's mental health. Instead of avoiding it, you got to go to it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and the community that you're creating there as well. You can see it. There's groups and groups of people. So what you are doing is working, and it's on a massive scale. You know, like I'd go as far to say that it's saving lives. You know, because especially after this, we're going to need more things like that to keep people together. And I think when we're connected, we are so much stronger together. You know what I mean? In our communities and our parishes and. Damian, always give us a bit of time, and as I said, we'll always drag you back on here for the conversation for some motivation and stuff like that. But you're a legend. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Cheers, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
So, that was the No Shame podcast. Every time I talk to that Damian lad, I come away spurred. I'm only at the doing a session before this, but I feel like going down to doing another one now. I do after this. What a man. Some great advice there as well in the idea of controlling what you can control. If there's a man that's probably the king of isolation, it's Damian. If you haven't seen some of his posts about rowing across the Atlantic Ocean, he's in a boat on his own for all of that time. He's pretty strong-minded, if you must. So before I wrap up there, just want everybody to look after themselves and stay safe. I'm not going to say get into your house because I'm starting to get sick of hearing that myself as well now. But I think use common sense is the smart thing now. Is stay inside your house and staying within the distances and wash your hands, keep the hygiene going. But you look after yourself, look after your neighbours. Don't be afraid to call people. I seen a horrible number the other day. That's my phone. I have it written down here the other day. Is that sometimes we don't see what the damage is, and it can be crazy to see some of the numbers that come through. One of the numbers, I'm gonna try and find it because I sent it to somebody so I would have it wrote down. So 6% of we increasing 6% between carbon in the air can have a 6% increase in diseases. Loneliness can create 47%. So the rise when loneliness kicks in, diseases are affected 49% of them through loneliness. To me, that's a crazy number. As humans, we are social creatures. So I think through this time, we need to make sure that we keep our eyes on a lot of the byproducts that are going to come out of this. So not everybody has the money to just go home and be in their house and be happy, and so for anybody that's telling people to just go home and shut up, or I don't think it's for some people it's not as easy as that. Apparently in my messaging, it's definitely not as easy as that, because I've had lots of problems coming through in my area, and lots of queries and situations that we've had to deal with. But try and be kind to people when you're telling them to get into their house. Try not to have us attacking each other if you must. There's old people and young people going out and walking around, and I can just see people. There's no doubt that we're all on this little edge now, and we want to maybe kill our neighbour now because his dog keeps barking. But we need to fight them little urges, and remember that that's the chimp, and he's just a little bit anxious now, and he doesn't know what's going on. So let's battle that loneliness. We can definitely battle that now at this time. So if you do know anybody that's on their own, send me a message and I'll ring them, or ring them yourself. Give them a phone call once a day, and don't get complacent on it. Get up out of your bed, get dressed, get showered, do your workout, do some cooking. If you are in that position, and enjoy that and try and learn it, and try to help as many people as we can going through this. I think that's the end, isn't it? Yeah. So just something to keep you going, a little blast into your mind of I don't know, shake it and kind of keep you in the race. There's 3 weeks to go, and we're gonna be all right. As I said, I'm shooting this from Easter Sunday, so remembering the rebels that died for all of our pleasures that we have now, and in a life that's a lot easier than it was back then. So I'm going to dedicate this one to all of the leaders that died in 1916, and anybody that has fought for the cause of Ireland all the way through. I salute you. That was no shame. Look after yourself.